And so we are like a character study and exactly what you just described. Is my husband stonewalls and then he doesn't talk to me. And mind you, I've known him since I was 4. So I've been dealing with this for 46 years. Him stonewalling and me getting offended and feeling completely unloved. And then it's the stupid, crazy cycle. And we've been on it for 46 years since nursery school. How do we stop? How do we stop the cycle? Because I always listen to you and then I never quite put it into practice. So are you willing to help me?
There's no hope for you. Yes, I'd love to.
It's Channel Mom with Jenny Dean Schmidt. We're here for you.
Now, to your point, again, it's important to know that there's going to be what we call this criticism withdrawal dynamic. And 85% of those who withdraw during a heated fellowship moment or conflict with marriage is the husband, typically. But my mom withdrew, so it's not absolutely gender specific, but it leans in that direction because women usually move toward the husband to connect, and she confronts to connect. She confronts to talk about whatever it is, and she wants to resolve it. What happens with a lot of guys, they just feel overwhelmed. And they know she's a good woman, she's virtuous, they know that they weren't perfect, and she's probably right, and I just don't want to go into this again. And then he wants to say, you're just overly sensitive. This happens again and again and again. It's not that big of a deal, or you're trying to change me, and I'm getting worn out, and so I'm just not going to talk about it, because if I do talk about it, I'm going to get angry, or I'm not going to win this anyway, and you're going to be right anyway, and you're not going to let this, and so he doesn't know where to go with it. And she's not trying to be mean-spirited whatsoever. It's that she has this expectation of connectedness. But definitely if she feels that there's something unresolved, then we need to resolve it so that I can feel good about the relationship. Mm-hmm. And that you too then should feel good about the relationship. But the deal is he doesn't feel bad about it in the first place.
Yes.
He was feeling somewhat good until you brought up the fact that it's not good.
Yeah.
One of the things we talk about is that a woman wants to talk about a relationship on a daily basis. If they've got problems, she wants to talk about those problems on a daily basis to keep the marriage up to date to prevent marital problems. But a guy's feeling if you're talking about marriage problems on a daily basis, you got a major marital problem. But the culture of intimacy today is totally endorsing females.
Yes.
So if the wife feels that the relationship is not up to date, then he's wrong. And he needs to talk about it, and he needs to talk about it now. But in your case, you bring these skills of verbalization that are par excellence. You're off the charts. You're quick, you're smart, you're honest, you're humble, you're godly, you're biblical. And so at a certain point, your husband, what's the point of this? So I think in one sense, to the answer to your question, sometimes you don't need to talk about everything you need to talk about. There are some things you can drop.
Yeah.
But now here's the last point, and then I'll let you jump in on it.
Okay.
The key here is for women who are listening, to let your husbands know that you're not criticizing him because you're trying to use this topic as an opportunity to send him a message that you despise him, that you don't respect him. Instead, say, do you understand that I'm bringing this up because I feel insecure? I have a need that only you can meet. I need something from you that only you can give to me. And do you understand I just need reassurance that you love me and that everything's okay between us? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Can you trust my heart? That's important to sin. Many women have not seen it. Instead, they roll their eyes, they have disgust, they speak words of disrespect, all from the standpoint of motivating him to turn to her and say, oh, I'm sorry. Will you forgive me?
I have something very surprising to tell you. Despite the fact that you talk about how I talk 600 miles an hour and I always have to say what I want to say and I'm really smart about it and I just have to get my words in, I've actually changed. In the last 5 to 10 years, I withdraw like your mother did. And I don't say anything. And the interesting thing about that is when I do withdraw, I am fuming and I'm practicing every little thing I want to say to go in my head and I'm thinking about how unfair it all is and how I'm never getting loved and I respect, yes, and I'm cleaning and whatever. Okay. So I actually do withdraw, but here's the interesting thing. I did it the other day. I withdrew and I thought all these awful things about him and all the horrible things I wanted to say. But I withdrew anyway. And then when I finally had the courage to say something, it came out much better, 3 days later. And most of it I had dropped, mind you. And it was the only thing left, I think, was money. So I brought up money, but you know what I said? I said, I just want to ask you, how can I be your helpmate in this situation? Okay. And it changed everything. Instead of me going, well, by the way, I just discovered about the finances. You know what I'm saying? And so I couldn't believe how it changed everything. Did I do well?
Well, yeah, you did.